Hello everyone, welcome to the course Geotechnical Engineering 2. So in this module number 2 and lecture number 6, we will be discussing some of the other institute tests that are there. So myself, SSS Nitish, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Vignan Institute of Information Technology, Dubada. Okay, so now let us look at the course outline once again so that we can quickly summarize all the points. Clear? Now, as we have initially discussed the methods of soil exploration, what is the need for soil exploration, as well as what are the different methodologies that are there in soil exploration. Later, in soil exploration, to understand the properties of the soil or to investigate the type of soil, we have different methods, say plate load test, static cone penetration test, dynamic cone penetration test, as well as geophysical explorations, and then the pressure meter test. All these will be discussed. Okay, out of these we have discussed some in the earlier classes. So apart from that, ultimately after carrying out all the experiments, what we need to do is, okay, we need to prepare a soil investigation report. We need to prepare a soil investigation report for understanding the type of soil, okay, as well as whether it can sustain any construction load or not. Okay, that has to be given. So this all is required. As a geotechnical engineer, we need to give this data to the civil engineer or the site engineer so that he can construct the structure on that particular site. Okay, now coming to the previous lecture, so as I have stated, these are the list of some of the commonly used subsurface investigation methods. So this is penetrometer test, and then pressure meter test, vane shear test, plate load test, and geophysical methods. In geophysical methods, all these have been discussed here in the earlier class, but we have discussed the plate load test in our previous session. Okay, so we have understood what do we mean by plate load test, what are the different types of loading, the gravity load as well as the truss sort of loading, that we have understood. Okay, apart from that, in the previous lectures we have understood the penetration test also, that is the standard penetration test and cone penetration test. So in today's lecture we will try to understand what do we mean by this pressure meter as well as vane shear test. Okay, let us look at this following things now. So coming to the pressure meter test, so it is a generally in situ stress strain type of test. That means we try to obtain the stress strain behavior of that particular type of soil using this sort of test, and we try to understand the behavior of the soil, and then we estimate the Young's modulus, and then we try to evaluate the type of soil based on the Young's modulus. Okay, since the soil is generally non-homogeneous, so we need to carry out in this manner. So as I've stated, it is an in situ stress strain test performed on the walls of a borehole. Okay, that means we need to dig a borehole. What we need to do initially, we need to dig a borehole, and then we insert a cylindrical probe that can be acted as a radially inflated thing. That means we need to place this particular cylinder in the borehole, okay, so that it is radially inflated so that it will exert some load on the particular soil. Okay, we'll look at it more in detail in the further sessions. Now, so as I've stated, this was given and it was early used by Menhard in 1957. Okay, he is of France, and it has been used since that 1957 itself. One of the most reliable methods since the ancient times. Okay, now furthermore, it is known as the subsoil deformometer. Since the soil is getting deformed, the subsoil is getting deformed because the borehole is dug and this probe is sent into this particular type of borehole, and then it is compressing the soil. So that is why it is subsoil deformer. It is also known as a subsoil deformer. Clear? Now, let us now try to understand the other things of this particular experiment. It is helpful in understanding the concepts of the foundation design. Okay, we can design any particular type of foundation in this aspect. Clear? Now, the pressure meter test involves the following. It generally involves the particular type. So first thing, as I've stated, we need to drill a borehole. The first one is to drill a borehole, and then we need to lower this probe. There will be a probe sort of arrangement. It will be drilled, it will be sent into this borehole which is dug, and then it is clamped at a certain desired elevation. That means at required depth we are clamping this. Once the probe is sent inside, it is clamped to the required elevation. And finally, we need to conduct the test. And finally, we need to conduct this test. Clear? So this is the procedure. We will try to understand how the process of this experimentation takes place more in detail. Okay, let us now look at the apparatus here. If you look at this particular diagram here, okay, this is a ground level, this is a ground level, and on this ground level there is a small probe sort of arrangement. So coming to this particular case, if I say this is the ground level that is there, okay, this is the ground level that is there, and there is, in the initial step itself, we need to dig a borehole, say up to this depth. I need to dig a borehole up to this depth, and then this guard cell, the measuring cell, as well as the guard cell, this combination is nothing but probe here. Okay, this is nothing but probe where it is inserted into this borehole, and how the loading is applied, that we need to understand. It is actually connected to a pressure gauge. It is actually connected to a pressure gauge with a certain amount of water. Okay, say there is a measuring jar in it as well. Inside, let us say there is a measuring jar in this, so it is having some water. Okay, that means there is a measuring jar inside it. It is not clearly visible here, but there will be a measuring jar. So what is happening here means, this entire guard cell, the measuring cell and the guard cell present here, it is a combination known as the probe. So it is immersed completely into the borehole, and here the water that is in the jar, measuring jar, is actually pumped into this measuring cell. Okay, that means the water is pumped into its measuring cell. Okay, the water is pumped into this measuring cell, and the external guard cells, whatever are there, they try to compress this water and try to push the soil down so that the soil will deform. So the pressure to this guard cell is supplied through this pressure gauge meter here. Okay, and correspondingly for this measuring jar there is a control unit, so that we can understand the change in volume. So for how much change in volume, how much compression of the soil is taking place, that we can record correspondingly. Clear? So for every reading we can determine the pressure that is applied with the help of this pressure gauge. Okay, and then correspondingly the volume that is actually changing, the change in volume delta V, let us say, this also can be recorded. Okay, let us denote the pressure by P. So if we observe here, we can plot a stress strain curve using this. That means the change in the volume per its initial volume will be some strain, since the area of this loading is completely constant, and the pressure gauge here, it is something as a stress. Pressure is nothing but stress. So that is why we can plot a stress strain curve in this manner. So looking more in detail, if you look at here, as I have stated, the gas that is there, okay, using the pressure, the gas is filled into this guard cells, and it will try to compress down so that the soil will be deformed. Clear? Now, so let us try to understand more in detail the drilling and position of the probe. First we need to drill, and then we need to place the probe. So we will try to understand how this is done. There are certain criteria here. So the drilling of the hole is completed using a suitable drilling rig which disturbs the soil at least. That means we need to place a certain borehole is dug in such a way that the soil is not disturbed. At least we try to make sure that it is least disturbed. Okay, that is the major thing. The other thing is that the diameter of the hole, okay, whatever hole diameter we are making, it should be generally satisfying the following condition. If DH is the diameter of the hole, then it should be satisfying 1.03 dp. Okay, it should be greater than 1.03 dp and less than 1.2 dp. So what is dp here? It is the diameter of the probe. It is the diameter of the probe under the deflated condition. Okay, under the deflated condition, that means it is the diameter of the probe. So this must be satisfied. The diameter of hole, whatever we are digging as a borehole, that should satisfy the condition where dp is the diameter of this probe. Clear? That you need to understand. Now furthermore, let us try to understand the typical sizes here. Okay, in the previous diagram what we have seen, there are if you look at the measuring cell, it is having a length of L0, so it is represented by L0, and the total length including the guard cells, both guard cells as well as the measuring cylinder, it is denoted by L. Okay, so there are certain standards here, it is given here, so we need to denote that particular hole with a certain denotation. Okay, wherever you're digging the hole, you need to give a certain denotation, and then you need to make sure that at least these probe diameters, as well as the length of the measuring cell, as well as the length of the guard cells along with the measuring cell is satisfied. Clear? So this is depending upon the borehole dia in a nominal case, so the minimum and maximum range is given here. Clear? This is the standards that are given. Now coming to conducting the test, till now I have explained some of the procedure. Let us look at how it is done more in detail. So after conducting the test, a typical curve is drawn. Okay, after conducting the test, a typical curve is drawn. As I have stated that we can obtain the stress as well as the strain. The strain here is nothing but the change in volume to the original volume, which is obtained from the measuring cylinder, and the other one is the stress, that is nothing but in terms of pressure applied as a water load. Okay, so with these two we can simply plot a certain stress strain curve. So let me try to explain this more in detail. So before that, so based on the observation readings, we will try to draw a typical curve, that is nothing but our stress strain curve, and then the change in volume is taken on the y-axis, and the that is the abscissa, and then the increment of the pressure, that means the change increase in pressure is taken on the ordinate, that is x-axis. Clear? And then we can plot our stress strain curve. So apart from that, the pressure meter has to be calibrated. Okay, the pressure meter has to be calibrated based on these three particular set. One is the pressure loss, the other one is the volume loss, as well as the difference in hydraulic pressure head. Okay, since there will be a differential heads because of the change in water level as the soil is compression, so we need to take the differential pressure head corrections also. Clear? These three have to be calibrated to the required scales. Okay, so let me just try to draw a certain plot here. Imagine this is my delta V per change in volume, and let us say this is some x coordinate. Here I have taken the pressure. So imagine, let us say I have got a curve in this manner. Okay, that means in this case up to a certain limit this will be elastic in nature. Any soil will be elastic in nature up to a certain limit, and thereafter it reaches a plastic state. Because of this external loading, it will try to reach a plastic state. So that is what we need to understand. So once we get this stress strain curve, we can obtain the Young's modulus. Okay, we can obtain the Young's modulus, and from that we can state the type of soil that is present at different depths also. Clear? Because we can take up to different level the borehole, and we can insert the probe up to that certain level. Clear? So that is what is happening here. This is just a rough diagram that I have drawn. Make sure to understand more in detail. Okay, so the concept behind is to obtain the Young's modulus of this particular type of soil at that particular elevation where we are excavating. Okay, now so coming to the other type of test, that is the Vane shear test. This we have discussed in the first unit also, but anyway let us try to recollect once again. Apart from that, it is developed by Olaus Swedenborg in 1910, and it was developed by Carlson and Skempton. In the later researches, these two have developed this particular type of test. Okay, so for this we have certain standard guidelines that is based on ASTM-D 2573-72. Okay, we can refer this particular thing for Vane shear test. Okay, now so why do we need to carry out Vane shear test? Because one thing, we can simply find out the shear strength. Okay, apart from that, we can clearly understand that if there is a presence of soft soil, we can go for this type of test. So while inserting itself, we can go for this type of test if there is a soft clay present. So if you look at here, it is difficult in obtaining the undisturbed samples. Okay, because particularly in case of soft saturated clays, because whenever I am trying to collect the sample, it will try to slip away. It will not be in the actual shape that is collected. So that is why we cannot obtain a undisturbed sample in case of softness. So then we can go for this type of test as discussed earlier. Okay, so another thing is that it facilitates and helps us in determining the shear strength, as I've said, mainly in its natural condition, and mainly in its natural condition. Okay, we can determine the shear strength of any soil in its natural condition only. as shear strength is one of the most important engineering property in the determination of bearing capacity. So that is why this is one of the important tests. So I have given here the diagram. If you look at this diagram, there is a mold for the sample, and then it is connected to a vane, and then torque is applied using this torque meter, and correspondingly the torque is recorded, and the experiment is stopped at a certain thing where when the vane is rotating inside the soil, when there is a shear observed in between the vane blades, then you will stop the experiment and you will record the corresponding readings of the torque. Okay, now so as I've stated, we will obtain the shear strength by T by pi into d square h by 2 plus d cube by 6. Okay. Okay, so let me write it once again. So S or the shear strength tau F, okay, it can be given by T by pi into d square h by 2 plus d cube by 6. Okay, d cube by 6, where S or tau F is the shear strength of the soil in kg per centimeter square, and then T is the torque, okay, in kg centimeter, and the d whatever that is there, small d or capital D, it is the diameter of the vane taken in the centimeters only. Okay, and then finally the other one, h is the height of the vane. Okay, height of the vane, it is not given here, but apart from this there is a spring constant mentioned here. You don't consider this one, this is not necessary in this case. Okay, so make sure that we have discussed that shear strength is obtained by T by pi into d square h by 2 plus d cube by 6. Clear? So I've listed some of the assignment questions as usually here, both descriptive as well as numerical. So in case of numerical problem, let us try to understand more in detail about this. So a shear vane of 75 centimeter dia, so the d value is given, okay, and 12 centimeter length, so h is given. Okay, to measure the shear strength of soft clay, it is given directly the soft clay, we need to measure the shear strength, that is tau. Okay, if the torque is given 800 Newton per meter, 800 Newton meter, then it was required to shear the soil, calculate the shear strength. So we need to find out tau. So simply using the formula you try to obtain it. We know the formula is tau or S is equals to T by pi into d square h by 2 plus d cube by 6. So from this you can clearly obtain the shear strength value. Clear? Now in the upcoming lecture we will try to discuss the in situ test based on the geophysical soil exploration. We will understand what do we mean by geophysical explorations. Till now we have tried to dig a borehole, but this is some other different method where we don't need to excavate the soil. So we will try to understand what this method is. Okay, now so thank you very much for this particular lecture. I hope you have understood very well. Have a nice day.